What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to look at one from CNBC, how shopping malls are being transformed into apartments in the U.S. Alrighty, guys, it says, while many U.S. malls face anchor store closures and empty parking lots, some are finding new life by becoming housing. Real estate developers are building housing inside of or next to shopping malls as department stores like Macy's, JCPenney's, and Sears shrink or cease to exist. At least 192 U.S. malls plan to add housing to their footprint as of January 2022. Dozens of apartment projects at malls are underway in California, Colorado, Florida, Arizona, and Texas. The trend not only helps to chip away at the housing shortage in the U.S., but also brings people closer to the remaining retail and restaurant spaces in shopping centers. All right, guys, let's jump right into it. Check this video out.
So welcome to the teeny tiny shoebox apartment inside the arcade. There are lots of others in the building just like this. So mine is about 250 square feet. There's a walkway right in front of the facade because this used to be a shop front, and so people had to access all of the shops in the building.
While malls across the U.S. are facing store closures and empty parking lots, some are finding a new life from an unlikely source. We are here at the Arcade Mall in Providence, Rhode Island, the oldest indoor shopping mall in the country. The Arcade had long been a center point in Providence's bustling downtown, but like other malls, it fell on hard times and was completely vacant. But rather than letting this historic building fall into ruin, developers came in and decided to build 48 micro-lofts here on the second floor and up here on the third floor. While top-tier malls continue to be in high demand, nearly 34 million square feet of U.S. mall space is vacant and off the market.
Wow,
Almost 70% of Americans live within an hour of a mall that has a high vacancy rate, low consumer traffic, or is abandoned altogether. At the same time, the country is facing a massive housing deficit of 4.5 million homes.
There's a housing problem in a lot of markets across the U.S., right? This is an opportunity to find land and have a built-in customer base to get people into the mall.
Monday through Friday, this is really busy down here. It's definitely, people in the offices working, getting lunch or whatever, and my barber's downstairs.
As of January 2022, at least 192 U.S. malls plan to add a housing component. The U.S. has about 1,100 regional and super-regional malls, about 8.5% lower than 2015. So, can new housing developments help revive the classic American mall? And what's it like to live inside one? CNBC went to Providence, Rhode Island to find out.
I wonder, I don't know what's going on yet. They're talking about living. Could you imagine having housing in a mall that's actually still a mall that you're shopping in? I mean, if you work there, you're already at work. You can go shopping. I don't know if that's what they're talking about here or not. I don't think they are. I wouldn't think so anyway.
Amy Hinion has been living on the top floor of a 3-story mall in Providence, Rhode Island for the past 2.5 years.
What's it like to live at the mall?
It's really great. It's cool to be part of such a historic building and knowing that every single one of these units used to be a shop of some kind.
But living in a converted store does present some challenges.
Here is my very tiny kitchen. It is very small, but it is workable. And one of the interesting things about the units in the building is that because of codes, you can't have any cooking devices with an open flame. So none of the units have stoves or ranges.
Wow.
Do you ever have any concerns about privacy?
Not really. It's something you get used to living in the building, having people coming and going. Everybody has blinds in their apartment that they can raise or lower as they like.
Despite those challenges, residents say having access to shops and restaurants makes living at the arcade a unique experience.
I got my hair cut in the salon downstairs.
See, yeah, it
There's
is.
little lunch spots, so you don't even have to leave the building. There's a bookstore downstairs, and they'll do author talk.
I at first thought that they were talking about that these were completely abandoned malls or whatever. So when I was talking about living at one and having all these shops and stuff right there, oh my goodness, it's a dream for some people probably.
Avoiding New England's sometimes stormy weather is, of course, another perk.
If it's like pouring rain outside or if it's snowy, you just really can't be bothered to go out in the weather, you can still go downstairs and take advantage of those amenities.
And it's not just long-term renters that are attracted to the mall. Scott Sheehan is a real estate investor and rents out his apartment on Airbnb.
Some of these business owners that are down on the first floor, how important is it to them to kind of have a built-in customer base with these residents on the second and third floor?
I know a lot of folks are very loyal to, many of the bars, restaurants, clothing stores downstairs. So, the business folks downstairs definitely are interested in maintaining that relationship with the residents.
You definitely feel like you're part of the community more so than if you were just in a standard apartment building. It has been interesting with people trying to unlock my door thinking that this is an Airbnb apartment. So sometimes you have to deal with the public more than you would in a regular home. But for me, that's a small compromise.
Break in. What I've been thinking.
When a mall dies, communities lose more than just a shopping destination. Malls often serve as economic hubs, generating billions in tax revenue and creating thousands of jobs. In 2020, U.S. malls and shopping centers contributed $400 billion in tax revenue. When malls close, it triggers an economic domino effect. Local businesses suffer, jobs are lost, and vacant spaces become eyesores. To combat this, developers are transforming dead malls into mixed-use spaces, offices, medical facilities, and housing. Of these conversions, nearly 54% are being used for residences and office space. Once upon a time, retailers like Macy's and JCPenney were the anchors of America's malls.
It sure was.
Stores are shrinking. Macy's plans to close 150 of its namesake stores by 2027. JCPenney, which has already closed hundreds of stores since declaring bankruptcy, is closing 4 more between this year and next, despite a $1 billion turnaround investment.
We had, I don't know if we've got a JCPenney's. I know that in our mall there's a Belk. And I don't know. I don't go to the mall often. But yeah, I don't think we have JCPenney's in South Carolina. We may. But yeah, I know we've got a Belk's at our mall.
Plan.
When you have dead retail space, it can be easier to clear that. Most of what a retail site is parking lot. So you don't have to demo much to demo a parking lot, and the buildings themselves are generally easier to demo and then adapt into a retail space.
The Arcade is a little bit different than some of the other mall-based residential projects out there. Most of them, like the one at Flatiron Crossing in Broomfield, Colorado, are adjacent to the mall and connected by green spaces or walkways.
This was a vacant parking lot, underutilized parking here at the mall, and we, decided to go. It was a mixed-use project here.
All of the benefits that the shopping center itself bring to the equation, you have a highly amenitized residential project that's much more desirable than something that might just be, in an isolated location.
Not only does it meet housing needs, but it also revitalizes the property by bringing in a new customer base that can boost on-site restaurants, gyms, and entertainment venues. While housing in malls sounds promising, it's not without its challenges. Zoning laws can be a major hurdle. Malls are typically zoned for commercial or mixed use, not multifamily residential. Developers often need approval from local jurisdictions to move forward.
Like any other developer, are having to navigate things like interest rates, construction costs, the capital markets, and so on.
Another obstacle is design. Most malls have limited windows, which are essential for residential spaces because they need natural light, making it difficult to convert certain parts of the mall. Usually, only the exterior-facing retail spaces are suitable for housing. Converting commercial office space into apartments is another trend, but it's often very expensive. A study found that in 5 U.S. metro areas hit hardest by remote work, the estimated office acquisition price would need to drop by 50% for the conversion to be financially feasible.
Conversion projects are really tricky because, a lot depends upon existing conditions, which you might not always know about. But to give you a range, on a very low end, you'd be looking at maybe $200 a square foot to convert, where on the upper end, you might be looking more at like $800 or more per square foot to convert.
Wow.
Despite those headwinds, malls across America just might have a second chance if they can truly become the housing hubs of the future.
The mall's
That's
becoming cool
crazy.
again. And so being able to live by it, work by it, play by it, go to restaurants by it, we're definitely seeing this as a trend.
Some people are confused and they'll say, like, why would you want to live in a space that small?
I could definitely see why somebody
for
would.
me, it's about having a reasonable apartment at a reasonable price that will force me out into the community and interacting with the people outside. The point is not to stay in the 250 square foot studio, it's to interact with the downtown that you're living in.
Right on. Alrighty, guys, so that's the video. Let me know what you think. Would you live in a mall? Is that something you would do? Is that something that you would consider doing, is living inside a mall? I could see how some people, especially young people, 20s, even maybe coming up, would like that. If you like going to the mall, if you're a mall rat, then man, that'd be just right up your alley. I have to go ahead and be honest. It's definitely not something that I would be able to do. I'm a country guy. I like being in the country, in the rural area. I like not being around a whole bunch of people when I'm in my living space. I don't mind being around people, but when I'm at home and I'm chilling, I want my property, I want my space, and I sure don't want a bunch of people being around me. That is just the way it is. I'm interested if you would be able to live at a mall. Are you somebody that would get you one of them mall spaces? If you could get one, just live at the mall, walk out, hey, maybe even have your job there, you work, you go back home, you shop, you can do all that. Guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.